What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden here. What's going on, everyone? I hope we are all doing extremely well. Let's just make sure the audio sounds good. Mets Talk with Hayden here. Yeah, actually, the audio sounds much better. I will say these AirPods definitely help out quite a ton. But what is going on, everyone? I hope we are all doing extremely well today. I am most certainly doing well today. That is because the Mets were able to take 3 out of 4 against the Philadelphia Phillies. So that's always a plus in my book. But what is going on in today's stream? We are going to be going over the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies series summary. We're going to be summarizing that, everything we liked, didn't like, what went down for the Mets and the Phillies to make them have a successful series. Then we're going to be transferring into the New York Mets and the New York Yankees series preview, the Subway Series. So that's going to be exciting. Then, of course, we'll get into all much, Mets news, your guys' comments, questions, concerns, and all that. So if you guys have any comments, any questions, anything related to the Mets, the A's, the Astros, anything MLB related, drop it below and we could talk about it. I know it says Mets talk, but it's really just baseball talk at this rate. So yeah, so I guess let's stop wasting any more time and let's dive into this Mets series. So obviously the Mets had a phenomenal series against the Philadelphia Phillies where they were fortunate enough to take 3 of 4 against this Philadelphia Phillies team. Obviously, it was super great to see. Getting into game 1, which was Friday's game. The New York Mets were able to win this game by a score of 7-2. Really good to see. Getting things started with Chris Bassett. Bassett went 6 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, 0 walks, 4 strikeouts, 104 pitches overall. Bassett mixed up his pitches really well, occupying that changeup and cutter on the put-away pitch, so he looked really good with that. Overall, no major complaints with Anavino. I mean, he did his job. I mean, not Anavino, with Bassett. He did his job. Expectations were 5, 6, 7 innings, and he met right in the middle. So no major complaints with Bassett. Very impressive start from him. Nice quality start. Following that, Anavino came in for 1 inning, giving up 2 hits and a strikeout. Got into a little bit of a jam, but like I said, he's able to get out of it. He's a veteran, uses that slider. Good outing from Anavino. Following that, Dolly Rodriguez came in. Dolly Rodriguez, once again, an inning, a strikeout, clean. And then to close things off, Trevor May came in with a much better outing than what we've seen with him before. And he went an inning, but it didn't last very long. So good to see Mets pitching, getting the job done. In terms of this Mets offense, they were firing on all cylinders. Obviously getting things started in the first inning. Pete Alonso had an RBI ground out fielder's choice for his 100th RBI in the season. That brought in Brandon Nimmo, but Alonso later responded in the 3rd inning. Pete Alonso had a 2-run homer to left, 353 feet to bring in himself and Starling Marte. So good to see Alonso surpass that 100 RBI mark, definitely needed. Following in that inning, Jeff McNeil had an RBI single to right center to bring in Daniel Vogelbach to make this a 4-0 ball game. Going on into the 5th inning, Starling Marte stole home, in which Francisco Lindor stole second. Good fundamental baseball right there. We saw that Francisco Lindor went to take off from second, Realmuto through to second. The shortstop position, whatever. It's kind of complicated with the shift in which they went to throw home. But with the speed of Marte, it would have been impossible, and he was already halfway down the line. So good fundamental baseball there. And then to put the cherry on top in the 7th inning, Brett Beatty had an RBI single to right to bring in Francisco Lindor and Darren Ruff. So 2-out RBI single from Brett Beatty to the right-hand side. Always fun to see that. You really Do like to see your young stars providing some offense early on. I think that's important. So good to see the Mets cap on 7 runs, obviously, in this outing. It was a very much needed win. Obviously, I've always expressed taking the first game of the series is huge, in which the Mets were able to do that, take advantage of Philadelphia Phillies. Like I said, 11 hits. You like to see that. Pretty much everyone got a hit but Tyler Naquin. Naquin went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. You don't see that much. But pretty much everyone got the job done. Like I said, Alonso 2 for 5, Lindor 3 for 5, Marte 2 for 5, even Mcneil, 1 for 4. So always good to see the Mets provide some offense. Like I said, 2 stolen bases in this game. You like to see that. Obviously, that Marte Lindor double steal was definitely huge. And like I said, if the Mets can do stuff like that, I know this team has been struggling with runners in scoring position a little bit. They can get a little streaky when it comes to that. But, if you could do double steals like that, suicide squeeze, that's good, smart baseball. And that's what this Mets team is capable of. They are a smart baseball team. They know what to do in those situations. Mets win 7-2. Bassett gets his 11th W of the year. Getting into game 2 of this game, the Mets were able to take game 1 of the doubleheader, in which they won 8-2. Getting things started, we had Trevor Williams on the bump for the New York Mets. Williams, 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 71 pitches. Keep in mind, this was the first time that Williams really went this long of an outing. Obviously, he is a long reliever, so usually his time is coming out into the bullpen and trying to get out of, his job is usually filling in for someone that came out early. But because of this, it was supposed to be, I believe, Carrasco's start, but obviously he is on the 15-day IL, so Williams came in to substitute. And Williams, like I said, for most of the season, he's been good in situations like this, and I think you can make the argument that really all, Mets long relievers, whether that's a Peterson, whether that was a McGill in the past, whether that's a Williams now, have done a beyond phenomenal job when it came to substituting for guys like this. So really good outing from Trevor Williams. Following that, Seth Lugo came in for 1/3 of an inning, 1 hit, a run, 3 strikeouts. Okay outing there. Following that, Dolly Rodriguez came in for 1 2/3 of an inning, giving up a hit. Following that, Adam Anavino came in for an inning, 2 strikeouts. Really good outing from Anavino. Slider's been completely nasty. He's been really underrated. I know it comes to the point where he'll give up the most important run every now and then, but Anavino has been doing a phenomenal job for this Mets team, to say for the least. And then following that, Sam Clay came in to close things out. An inning, a hit, a walk, 2 strikeouts. So like I said, really good outing there from Sam Clay. First appearance with the New York Mets. I believe he was actually DFA'd the next day, but hey, listen, gets the job done somehow. So Mets pitching held down the fort, like I said. He only gave up 2 runs, and obviously one of those were earned. So really good for the Mets pitching staff there. In terms of this offense, they were on fire once again, scoring 8 runs, 10 hits. You like to see that. Total of 14 bases, so very impressive. As we could see getting things started, the Mets offense was a little quiet early on, but in the 5th inning to get things started in the 5th inning, we had Martin Perez knock things off in the 5th inning with a 2-out RBI single to right to bring in Jeff McNeil and Tyler Naquin. That's probably one of the most clutch bats we've seen from a catcher pretty much this whole season. I mean, obviously, with the exclusion of Tomas Nido. So good to see there. Going on into the 6th inning, Francisco Lindor had an RBI an RBI triple to deep right to bring in Starling Marte. Following that, Jeff McNeil had an RBI single to shallow center to bring in Francisco Lindor to make this a 4-0 ball game. Heading on into the 9th inning, the Mets capitalized, put the cherry on top. In the 9th inning, Brandon Nimmo had an RBI double to left to bring in Brett Beatty. Starling Marte had an RBI single to center to bring in Martin Perez. In the 9th inning, later on, Darren Ruff had an RBI sac fly to right to bring in Nimmo. And then for the final run of this game, Jeff McNeil had an RBI single to center to bring in Francisco Lindor. So good game. Like I said, offensively, this team was firing on all cylinders. Obviously, great game for Jeff McNeil, 3 for 5, 2 RBIs. Starling Marte, 3 for 4 with an RBI and a walk. Brandon Nimmo, 2 for 4 with an RBI and a walk. Really good game offensively for this team. We saw plenty of fundamental hitting. Obviously, this was a very close ball game going into the 9th inning, where it was really a 1-run difference, and they were able to capitalize. And that's what good ball teams do: capitalize when it matters. You were able to take advantage of Zach Wheeler. The Mets have really had Zach Wheeler's number the last couple, 2 years, really. Wheeler, 5 1/3, 5 hits, 4 runs, 4 walks, 106 pitches. So, I mean, you really worked up that pitch count with Zach Wheeler, and that's something that the Mets have done pretty well for the most part when it comes to dominant pitchers, whether that was a Sandy Alcantara in Miami a couple weeks ago, or now in this case, obviously, Zach Wheeler. So that's one thing that the Mets have been very impressive at doing the last couple weeks. Apologies about that. That's something very impressive that the Mets have been very elite at doing the last couple weeks is going after dominant pitching and driving them out early, work their pitch count. Like I said, you may not be able to, score 5, 6 runs off of them in 10 hits, but if you could work their pitch count, constantly get into these 3-2 counts, and make them have, 10, 11 pitch at bats like guys like Nimmo and Mccann are capable of doing, you can get them out of the game as soon as possible and face that team's bullpen. And obviously, Philly's bullpen has definitely improved big time compared to last season. But still, I mean, I'd much rather face, someone on the Phillies bullpen than a guy like Zach Wheeler. So, yeah. Really impressive outing. Like I said, Mets won 8-2. Seth Lugo did get the W, obviously. So good to see the Mets win there. Getting into game 3, this was the only game that the Mets lost. Kind of a close game, kind of an unfortunate game, but we had David Peterson on the bump for the Mets, and this was game 2 of the doubleheader later that night. David Peterson did not have a good outing. 4 2/3 of an inning, 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, 100 pitches. Like I said, that pitch count was through the roof. Those 2 walks definitely were very pivotal. Got into plenty of 3-2 counts where Philly's offense was just fouling plenty of balls off and really just worked Peterson. Like I said, for the most part, he gave up some little light type of contact, and that's what Peterson has done a lot all season. It's either he'll have an outing and he'll just give up barrel after barrel over the fence, or simply enough he'll give up some light contact, some BABIP, and that's what he did, obviously, this outing. He had a pretty decent outing, like I said. I know the 8 hits. Usually his hit and walk ratio is pretty high, but the run ratio is pretty low. Yeah, so like I said, Peterson did not have the best outing compared to the last couple outings. Obviously, Mets offense didn't help by scoring many runs, but like I said, Peterson has not came into start in about 2 weeks almost, so I guess a little out of it. But in terms of the bullpen, they came in and were able to get the job done, only giving up 1 run for the rest of the game. Steven Nagosic coming in for 1 2/3 of an inning, giving up a hit, a walk, and 2 strikeouts, 43 pitches. So big tip of the cap here from Steven Nagosic to really hold on to this game, keep the Mets still active in the ball game. Following that, Michael Gibbons came in for 2/3 of an inning, giving up a hit. And that's really all she wrote for the pitching staff. Like I said, pitching did a pretty good job. I mean, only 4 runs. I mean, we've seen that the Mets offense was pretty hot this game. I mean, we saw yesterday's game. We'll get into that. But, yeah, pretty unfortunate. The Mets offense could not accommodate the pitching. And in terms of this Mets offense, like I said, you only scored 1 run, so it's pretty quiet. 1 run, 3 hits, pretty quiet. And getting started in the offense with the run creation in the first inning, Francisco Lindor scored on a wild pitch by Falter, and that moved up a couple of the other base runners. But otherwise, you were not hitting. I mean, you only had 3 walks. Strikeouts were high, 9 strikeouts, and only had a total of 4 guys get on base, 3 of those being hits, and obviously 1 of those being a walk by Brandon Nimmo. So like I said, and Pete Alonso too. But like I said, the offense was just not here this game. It happens. That's how baseball goes. Would have been nice to take 4 of 4, but you took 3 of 4, and I'm not going to complain. But getting started in game 4 and the final game of this 4-game series and the final game against the Philadelphia Phillies this whole season, and probably my most favorite game, definitely suspenseful game, some great comebacks, definitely a long game, had plenty of rain delays and all that. But getting things started, the Mets won 10-9. Jose Budo was on the bump for the Mets, making his major league debut right out of AA or AAA, I should say. So his experience in, high A baseball is kind of still new. So I give him a tip of the cap to surviving. Getting things started, 4 innings, 9 hits, 7 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 98 pitches. In the first inning, he got lit up, allowing the first 4 guys to get on base, 2 of those being a home run and an RBI single. But Budo really got intact into the second and third inning. He started to use his changeup and his secondary pitches more, started to feel a little bit more comfortable, was getting ahead in the account. We saw him get into plenty of more 2-2, 1-2, 0-2 counts. In the first inning, he kept falling behind and just contact. And, yeah, really got the best of him. He did kind of get a little bit of a disappointment in the fourth inning, but the long ball was something that he had a little bit of a concern with, so hopefully he can try and figure that out. But the 5 strikeouts on the changeup is pretty nice. Like I said, he's a guy who's still developing. Shouldn't really have been called up yet. I think he still needs plenty of time. I mean, I hate to use ERA, but to have a 4 ERA in the minor leagues, I don't know how much that would accommodate with the MLB. So, I mean, decent. He gave you 4 innings, but I think the biggest part was the guy who came in after that, and that was Nate Fisher. Nate Fisher, obviously, we know the story with him, but 3 innings, a hit, 2 walks, a strikeout, 50 pitches. I mean, tip of the cap for keeping us alive in this ball game. I mean, he was a guy who obviously the Mets picked up. He was working at, I think, an investment firm or some type of bank in Omaha, Nebraska, after the Mariners let him go, and he pretty much said, "Well, you know what? Don't give up on me because you never know what I'm capable of." And he definitely showed them that. Obviously, 3 innings, definitely fastball looked nice. The 1 strikeout was phenomenal. So really good to see him finally make a major league appearance, especially with the Mets. Definitely at a needed time. So phenomenal to see. Following that, Trevor May came in, an inning, 2 hits, a run. Yeah, May, we're going to talk about him a little bit more in this stream because he's been exasperating. And then Edwin Diaz came out to close things off. An inning, 2 hits, a run, a walk, a strikeout. Surprising outing from Diaz. 21 pitches, 12 of those in the strike zone. 2 hits. Obviously, those 2 hits were light little bloopers, and I'm not the type of person to say, oh, those were lucky hits, but, I mean, some light contact. So, yeah, the light contact got to the best of Edwin Diaz, but he was able to keep alive in this game. Had a little bit of a complexity trying to find the zone with his slider, as well as his fastball. I mean, his fastball velocity was still, 100 miles per hour, so but obviously he was not connecting well in terms with the slider. And yeah, they just were not simply enough. The Phillies lineup was just not swinging at a lot of his slider and nasty pitches. So unfortunate outing. It happens. I mean, guys, he's not going to come out there, all 100% of the time and be elite. But you're lucky enough he did not blow the game. So yeah, and like I said, guys are always, due for pretty much someone trying to blow a game, but it's good that he didn't blow it. But yeah, like I said, good production there for the pitching. The offense was on fire. Both offenses were on fire. The Mets scoring 10 runs, 16 hits, getting things started in the second inning with this Mets run creation. Obviously, Perez had a deep RBI single to right center to bring in Daniel Vogelbach and Brett Beatty to 4 ball game. Going on into the third inning, Daniel Vogelbach had an RBI double to deep right to bring in Marte. Going on into the 4th inning, Starling Marte had a 2 RBI single to center to bring in Perez and Nimmo. And then for the go-ahead tying hit, Mccann in the 7th inning had a 3-run homer to left, 345 feet, to bring in Pete Alonso, Naquin, as well as himself. And then in the 9th inning, while you were down by a run, Mark Canha had a 2-run homer to left, 389 feet, to bring in himself and Jeff McNeil. Clutch appearance from Mark Canha. 2 homers in 2 innings, 5 RBIs in the day for him. Phenomenal. And then to put the icing on the cake, and probably one of the most underrated hits, obviously, because it kept the Mets in the lead, was a solo home run by Brandon Nimmo after that at bat in the 9th inning. Solo home run to right, 389 feet. So good to see Nimmo with some power. I know that we've kind of been discussing Nimmo changing his appearance at the plate, and I guess that run definitely was vital. Like I said, offense was alive. 5 walks, a stolen base, 29 total base runners. Obviously, you stranded plenty of them, but I mean, the runs that came in seemed to matter. Obviously, great game for Starling Marte, 3 for 5, Mcneil, 3 for 5, Canha, 3 for 5. He's clearly the hero of the game. Lindor, 2 for 6. Alonso, 2 for 4. So really good game offensively for this team. Obviously, Trevor May gets the win. Edwin Diaz gets the save, his 28th of the year. So now the Mets finished off their season against the Philadelphia Phillies. They went 15-4. Mets definitely beat up on this Phillies team quite a lot this season, to say for the least. They beat up on them quite a lot. Getting things started, as we could see, that includes a combined no-hitter. That includes an 8-run 9th inning comeback, a walk-off by a guy in his first game by Nick Plummer. Obviously, this comeback. So, yeah, Mets definitely own the Phillies this season, so that's good to see. for the Mets case. But now getting into the Yankees series, the Mets are going into the Bronx, right across the street, to face the Bronx Bombers for the Subway Series. A little recap in terms of the last Subway Series. The Mets were able to take both of those games against the Yankees, so we'll see how that can go there. But getting things started, as we could see, tonight's game is at 7:05. There may be a rain delay, so we'll see how things can go there. But Mad Max Scherzer is on the bump tonight for the Mets. 9-2 on the season, 2.15 ERA, 0.93 WHIP, 109 innings pitched, 134 strikeouts. Those numbers seem like he wasn't even gone for 2 months practically. So really phenomenal numbers there. Scherzer, I mean, there's really not much of an analysis to give. He's elite. He's dominant. He knows what he's doing. If he mixes up his pitches well, I mean, he's a veteran. He doesn't really need much of, an analysis explanation. But if he mixes up his pitches well, confuses the hitters on that goal side slider, get sure that whiff rate, swinging and miss rate is definitely going to be through the roofs from him. We'll see how Scherzer handles, guys like Judge and some of the big power hitters, considering you're playing Yankee Stadium. You have that, that short right field porch. We know when the Mets played the Yankees at Citi Field last time, they were hitting plenty of balls that were caught at Citi Field, but would have been gone at Yankee Stadium. And I mean, I know that's a whole argument for, Yankee Stadium, it's a shitty stadium because, with the right field wall. But I mean, hey, you can't really control that. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how things can go there if Scherzer can limit the damage there. And obviously for the Yankees, they will have Domingo Germán. Obviously, Germán has not really been having a rough and easy going at it. Hasn't pitched a whole lot, only 28 innings this year, obviously, 31 hits. So the contact's been a little bit of a struggle from Domingo Germán. So obviously, if you're the Mets case, you try and get on this guy as really early as you can. So that'll be tonight's game. And getting into game 2 and the final game of this series, like I said, this is an interleague game. So only 2 games, but we will have Jacob DeGoat on the bump for tomorrow at 7:05. You really hope this is DeGrom start. It has not been confirmed, but projections are predicting to have DeGrom. So DeGrom will be on the bump. DeGrom stats, 2-1 on the season, 2.31 ERA, 0.51 WHIP, 23 1/3 of an innings pitched, 37 strikeouts. DeGrom has been doing DeGrom-like things. It's no secret. He's the GOAT. He's dominant. Strikeouts, this dude can average 10 to 12 strikeouts a game. The odds of him walking someone is pretty rare, considering he only has 1 walk and 37 strikeouts and 23 1/3 of an inning. So DeGrom, he's dominant. He's elite. There's really no analysis for these guys. Could you call DeGrom a veteran? Yeah, he's been in the league since 2014, so maybe you could. But just considering how dominant he is, it's hard to really explain about him because I could sit on here for hours saying how great DeGrom is. So that'll be tonight's game and tomorrow's game. And obviously for the Yankees, they will have Frankie Montas on the bump for them. And Montas has not been having it since joining the Bronx Bombers. The Yankees, he just has not been having it lately. Obviously, he's been having a really rough go at it with the long ball, 14 homers on the season already. I think he had like 7 or 8 when joining the Yankees. So he's really been having a rough go at it. So we'll see how the Mets can share against the New York Yankees squad. Obviously, the Yankees are a team that have not been having it lately. They have just been a completely different ball club. These last couple months, obviously, since the All-Star break, this is a team that has been, 12-33 since the All-Star break, and they just have not been having it. So, I just happen to feel really bad for the Yankees. Obviously, they've started off really well, and now this is just a completely different team. I mean, we saw Aaron Boone's press conference, and he was not happy. I mean, he banged the table and saying, we're right there. These games are right in front of us, and we're just not executing, and we're not taking, the extra lead, the strikeout that we need to win these games. I mean, simply enough, we're seeing this team is not as clutch as they used to been. This is a team that has been striking out like crazy. We're not seeing selective and productive at-bats from a lot of this Yankees team. Their pitching has really been, I guess, a big woe to their struggles. Obviously, their bullpen. Clay Holmes has not been having it in the second half. I mean, this dude was an all-star, had a phenomenal first half, and simply enough, just has not been himself at all. You happen to just feel really bad, but yeah, he just has not been himself at all in the second half. I mean, he's we saw that Pittsburgh Pirates series in New York where he came in and he gave up 5 runs in the 9th inning. It's little stuff like that. It's one thing if you blow a lead, you give us a 2-run homer, but we're talking, contact, walk, strikeout, contact, home run. I mean, yeah, the downfall of Clay Holmes has definitely been a big factor. Obviously, Frankie Montas has not been very effective with the Yankees. I mean, you have some bright sides. Obviously, Nestor Cortez is still looking good. Cole's been, Garrett Cole will have a good outing and then wet the bed the next 2. So, yeah, I mean, the Yankees, we talk about it every season. The beat reporters are already going to fire Aaron Boone at this rate. When it comes to the Yankees, I mean, I really feel it is more Cashman's fault than Boone. I think, Boone is kind of just the scapegoat where it really should be Brian Cashman. And I get it. Yankee, like I said, I'm not a huge Yankee fan. I mean, I obviously know, I am familiar with, the Cashman family and, his time with the Mets. And obviously, I mean, Cashman, I mean, he's been with this Yankees organization since, their dynasty in 97, 98, when he started off as, I believe, the senior vice president of the Yankees and, the GM then. So, I mean, he's, New York native. He's from Long Island, Rockville Center, I believe, next to where I used to live. But, I mean, New York native, he's been with this Yankees ball club for a while. And I think it would be very hard for them to part ways. But I mean, it comes to the point is where, it's a different time. Yankees have been doing the same thing each year. For the last 10 years, they've been making the playoffs, whether that's the wild card, ALDS, ALCS, and they get kicked out. I get it. The Mets' goal is to make it to the playoffs. And who cares if they get in or out because you make the playoffs. Yankees make it every year. So their agenda is eventually going to be getting a World Series ring. And, they haven't been to a World Series since 2009, and we're obviously really close to it at some point, 2017, 2019, but recently they have just not been there, the Yankees. Like I said, we'll see. I mean, will they fire Boone this offseason? I mean, we know when they fired Girardi, and, well, I mean, he's not even anywhere now. I think he's doing some like sports, analyst type of thing. So we'll see, what the future is for Aaron Boone as well as, Brian Cashman. You never know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, Yankees have, some good stuff to look forward to this year. Obviously, I mean, Garrett Cole has, had good starts. Nestor Cortez, really underrated breakout season. Judge, obviously, Aaron Judge is probably going to be the AL MVP this season, most likely. Considering he is on pace to break that Roger Maris record. So we'll see. Yankees have some good stuff to talk about, but so do the Mets. Crazy to think that the Mets have a better record than the Yankees. I mean, we haven't seen that a whole lot. I mean, besides 2015 maybe. So yeah, we'll see. So let's get into your guys' comments, questions, concerns. If you have anything, drop it below. It could be about the Mets. It could be about the Yankees. It could be about the Reds. It could be about anything. The Pirates, whatever you guys want to talk about. Baseball, drop it below. Let's get into what you guys have to say. Gio, what's happening, man? Peter, Alex, you going to the game tonight? That's cool, man. Hopefully you'll have a good time. Ibin Dose, what's going on? Seth, what's going on? Jack, it's been a while, man. Appreciate it. Trey, what's going on? Council, say Hayden, how are you? Happy the Mets took 3 of 4 against the Phillies. Mets played very well this series and had some great plays. Yeah, I mean, there were some great hits, clutch hitting, some great defensive plays by Mcneil, Lindor. They had some nice Wem gems that are definitely going to be on the MLB networks. Top 50 plays of the week. So yeah, super impressive series from the Mets. I mean, I would have much rather have taken 4-4. I think you easily could have won Game 3, but you know what? I think anyone would take 3 or 4. So it's not bad. And the fact is, the Mets really had the Phillies numbers this season. Simply enough, being 15-4 against them. And as stated, that includes not just winning every series, but a combined no-hitter, a 9th inning comeback when you're down by 8, a clutch home run in the 9th by a guy in his first full game in Nick Plummer, and to walk that game off. The comeback from yesterday, a sweep. I mean, the Mets just had the Phillies numbers pretty much all on it this season. I mean, maybe there was that one game where the Phillies came back like 4 runs in like the 8th inning, but I mean, that's compared to all this. I mean, I think that's really the least of things compared to all that. Kobe, what's going on? Trey, what's happening? He says, wow, what another wild comeback. win for the Amazons. Absolutely love how everyone is contributing to success of this team since the beginning. Now let's sweep the Yankees in the Bronx. Hopefully, man, obviously, the Mets do just need one game to really win the overall series against the Yankees, obviously. It's a 4-game series, 4 games overall, 2-2 a pair, considering that they are not playing the AL East this year. Last year it would have been 3-3, but now it's 2-2. I don't need to go over that. We all know why. But yeah, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see if they could just win one game, and you would have went 3 or 4 against the Yankees, even 4 or 4. I'll take that. Imagine winning both games, or all 4 games against the Yankees this season. That would be phenomenal. I think the Mets are definitely capable of it. Like I said, I think they are probably favored. I think for once you could probably argue that the Yankees are the underdogs going into this season, considering that the Mets have been the hot team offensively. They've been the hot team defensively. And, you look at the 2 starters, DeGrom and Scherzer, I mean, arguably the 2 best pitchers in the game right now. Obviously, the best 1-2 punch in baseball, one of the best rotations in baseball. So, I think it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. I actually am curious to see who is the favorite to win this, though. So tonight's game, the Mets are projected to win 55.6%, and then tomorrow's game, the Mets are projected to win 57.9%. So that's going to be interesting. In terms of guys that I think are going to be successful this season, this series, obviously, I did forget about that. But for one, I'm going to go Jeff McNeil. I know it's a 2-game series, but I'm going to go Jeff McNeil. McNeil has been firing on all cylinders lately. This dude has had, like 10 hits this Philly series? I mean, that's just been phenomenal. He's continuing to perform at a really high level. You look at the last 7 games, 12 hits, 3 ribbies, a walk, 400 average, 419 OBP, and a 533 slugging. Obviously, he had a total of 7 hits in that 3-game series against the Phillies. So really good to see for the most part. He's been phenomenal. He's just slapping the ball, and he's hitting the ball a little bit harder to the right side. But even if not, he's slapping the ball to center field and to the opposite way to the left side. McNeil, bat-to-ball contact has been there for him. He's not striking out really at all. Like I said, right now, his stats as of now are amazing. 125 hits, 7 homers, 49 ribbies, 2 stolen bases, 321 average, a 374 OBP, and an 839 OPS. So, I mean, those are simply enough, just phenomenal numbers for Jeff McNeil. So I really probably think that he'll probably be a huge success this series. Another guy that I am going to go into is Mccann. Obviously, Canna had a really good series against the Braves where he had 5 extra base hits that whole series. And then getting into, obviously, Phillies series, he had 2 of the biggest hits, obviously, in yesterday's game. Mark out of the park, according to his Twitter name, did things pretty well. And even in the last 7 games for him, 9 hits, 3 homers, 8 ribbies, 2 walks, 429 average, 478 OBP, and an 1,048 slugging. So he's my number 2 guy to keep an eye out for this series. And kind of an underrated pick, but I'm just going to go for him. I'm going to go Brett Beatty. I think he'll have a really good series, or at least one good game. I predict him to have a home run, considering lefty, short porch at Yankee Stadium. I think he will hit one out there. So I'm going to go Brett Beatty. I know he really had a horrible series against the Phillies. Besides that, 1 2 RBI hit. He struck out 3 times yesterday, and then the day before that, 2. 0 for 4, 0 for 3. I get it, but I think this will be a good series for him. New York, Yankee Stadium, short porch. I think we'll take advantage of that. Maybe have 1 homer and a double, I'll predict. So those are my guys to keep an eye out for this series. Even Alonso, I think Alonso, who has pretty good numbers at Yankee Stadium, I think maybe he'll take advantage of that short right field wall too. Let's continue your comments. Kobe, what's going on, man? He says, hey, Hayden, how are you? Happy we won the series once again. Mets are playing well. Yeah, I mean, simply enough, the Mets are playing well. Like I said, all around, this is a team that is getting the job done. They've been a lights-out team offensively, defensively, and they are just simply enough getting the job done. So, I mean, there's no major complaints. Davis, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in. Davis says, Mets got the dub. Yeah, they certainly did, man. Marco says, yo, Mets are playing well, very well as of lately. Yeah, they certainly are. LFGM, what's going on? Baseball is my air. Karen, what's going on, guys? Appreciate you tuning into the stream as always. Connor says, boy, I tell you, no matter what, no matter where this team ends up, they got to be the most exciting Mets team I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this. I mean, I'm 20 years old. I was born in 2002. I mean, I don't really remember '06 a whole lot. I mean, '07, '08 was, a good season, but we all know what happened. We're not going to get into that. But really, besides, 15, 16, it's really all you remember. Obviously, that second half of 2019 was really something fun. And if you thought that was fun, look at this season. I just think it's amazing what this Mets team has done this year. I know last year they had high expectations and they kind of flunked, but, you brought in proper management, a better front office, to really just get the job done, make things successful. They brought in some key star players, big bounce back seasons, obviously, from key players. And yeah, this team pretty much has just been the never say die Mets for the most part. Connor, what's going on? Eric, what's happening? Cal says, what was your favorite Mets Phillies moment this year? Well, that's a good one, because there's, like I said, there's been a lot. There's the combined no-hitter, the ninth inning comeback, 8 runs, the Nick Plummer clutch home run, and then the Eduardo Escobar walk-off. Sweeps, yesterday's game. Overall, I probably got to go the combined no-hitter, considering that the Mets have only had, 2 no-hitters in their whole franchise. Obviously, 2012, Johan Santana. But then this was their first combined no-hitter. And, it still counts as a no-hitter in my opinion. So, yeah, I probably say that, considering you don't have that much often. And I think that's probably my favorite moment from all season, is that combined no-hitter. Second overall, and this is regardless of Mets and Phillies, is probably that 9th inning comeback. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say a lot of the good moments was against the Phillies. Alex says, Jeff McNeil has done so much for this team this year, offensively, defensively, and with him being so versatile, it helps. Yeah, I knew McNeil was going to be phenomenal this year. He's just too good of a player to really just slump and not, be that one-year wonder. I never expected him to. But yeah, McNeil has done phenomenal things for this Mets team this year. Simply enough, we see the run creation that he's been providing, the ability to get on base. Like I said, he's that slap ball hitter. The ability to get on base has really just been there for McNeil. Like I said, he's not a power hitter. His numbers, his hard hit numbers, his barrel numbers, the home runs, they're not going to be favorited. And I think that's what makes McNeil underrated, is because fans are casuals. A lot of the casuals are going to look at the home runs, look at the RBIs and say 7 home runs, 49, 50 RBIs. That doesn't sound good. Yeah, but, you look at his OBP, you look at his OPS, you look at his WOBA, you look at his OPS plus. Those are above average. Those are all-star level. So, say for the least, McNeil really has been having a phenomenal season. I get it. He's not a power hitter. His barrel percentage and, whatever. Let's look at his baseball savant. They're not going to be through the roofs. I get it. And I guessing fans like the power numbers. They like, the home runs. They like the RBIs. And that's great. But, leave that for Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor. When it comes to guys like Nimmo and McNeil, they do this. And this is what makes McNeil an elite player. I'm going to share my screen and pull up his baseball savant page, because this dude has been having a great year. You look at these numbers, to say from Jeff McNeil, obviously, and simply enough, look at these numbers with McNeil, obviously. I don't care about his average exit velocity. I don't care about his hard hit rate. The 3 things that I care about with McNeil is the XBA, the strikeout percentage, and the whiff percentage. And that has been phenomenal for him. 89th percentile in XBA, 94th percentile in strikeout percentage, and 88th percentile in whiff rate. If you want to talk about his defense, 97th percentile in OAA, outs above average. So McNeil's a phenomenal player. Like I said, I don't care about his barrel percentage. I don't care about his slugging. I don't. The walks, okay. I don't really care about the walks, because he's a guy who's a contact merchant. You're not going to want walks out of him. These are the numbers that I really care about with him. The xWOBA, the strikeout percentage, the walk percentage. Those are the numbers I really care. Batted, balls and barrels, and I don't care about that with McNeil. Yeah. What else do we got with McNeil? But yeah, McNeil, say for the least, has been having a great season. Marco says, what's been going on with the Yankees lately? You think they'll fire Boone? Yeah, hopefully you heard my little rant before. Very strong possibility. Like I said, there's a strong possibility he does, but then there's also a strong possibility they won't. Considering he is on a 5-year extension deal, I think that would be kind of, I don't want to say dumb, but yeah, I mean, it'd kind of be foolish to fire him considering that you're giving him that money. But yeah, right now it's just things have not been going at it for Boone. I said it last year and I'll say it again, and I said it, 20 minutes ago, is I don't really blame Boone as much. I think I blame more Cashman because he's the one that's not really supplying Boone with what he needs. I get it, guys like Donaldson, whatever. I don't really think they were the guys to go after. I think, there were much better guys in the market to go after. But yeah, really unfortunate for the Yankees this year. Well, for the last 2 months, I should say, not this year. Davis says, I am very impressed with this team. This team never surrenders and plays to win until the final out. Yeah. I mean, we've seen this team, be down by 8 runs or 2 runs or a run in the 9th inning and, one more strike and then the game's over. But no, they get the job done. We saw that Cardinals series, the Giants game. Where they're down by runs and they just, have their Mets magic pretty much. So hopefully we will continue to see that and, they'll continue to be successful. Alec, what's going on? He says, new fan here, LFGM. Well, I appreciate you tuning in, brother. Definitely, if you are not subscribed, please do. If you have any, like I said, always any comments, questions, concerns, anything related to the Mets, Phillies, anything baseball related, drop it below. Trey says Nate Fisher was the hero of the day. First big league game and pitches 3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen, where is depleted after a doubleheader yesterday. Just amazing. Yeah, I mean, the fact is he really gave you the longevity and the innings that you needed. Like I said, it was a doubleheader the day prior. So your bullpen was kind of worn out, obviously. Lugo was not available. May was not available. Michael Gibbons was probably not available. So you really, I mean, those 3 innings were important. For example, you look at that Mets and Phillies 9th inning, that 9th inning 8-run comeback game. Who was a guy that was very successful in that bullpen once Walker came out? That was Adonis Medina. He pitched like 3 1/3 of an inning, giving up no runs. Very similar to that. He's the underrated guy because he could have gave up 2 runs and then Mets still would have been out of the ball game, or if not tied it, or could have went a completely different way. So, I mean, little stuff like that where, I mean, a lot of these relief guys come in and just get the job done. So, yeah, phenomenal. I mean, Nate Fisher, he's a phenomenal story as it is. I mean, just goes to show you got to be successful, don't give up all that, but had a phenomenal reason why. Kobe says the Mets have been very clutch this season. I know their numbers haven't been as good, haven't been as great as they were in April or May with hitting with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, but they still get the job done. Yeah, I will say, I mean, they have been straining a lot more guys recently than in the past. I know kind of in the first half, April, May, and a little bit of June, this was a team that was phenomenal with hitting with runners in scoring position, hitting in 0-2 counts, hitting with 2 outs, and they were phenomenal with that. And they kind of went on a little slump, a little bit after the All-Star break, mid-July, really, first couple days in August where they really struggled to hit, in those categories, with runners in scoring position, 2-strike hitting, 2 outs. But now they're kind of fixing that up a little bit. I don't think they were as great now as they were in April and May in that category. But, like I said, if you could, like I said, steal bases, sacrifice squeezes, tag up on sac flies, fundamental baseball, score runs, win games, that's really all you got to care about. One thing that, if there is anything I am going to complain about this team, is maybe stealing bases a little bit more, I think could be ideal. Considering a guy like Nimmo doesn't really steal a lot, hasn't even stolen a base successfully this season, and he's capable of it. I think Brandon Nimmo is definitely capable of stealing a base. I mean, taking a look at his sprint speed, according to Baseball Savant, he is in the 86th percentile in sprint speed. So, I mean, I definitely think he is capable of stealing on the base paths. I mean, he's a pretty underrated runner. I mean, to say it for the least, I mean, he majority of the times, double down the line, he's on first base, he's going to score. Is he as fast as Marte? I don't know about that, but I mean, I think he's in the same category as some guys like Lindor, and some, fastest guys in the game. So, I would have no problem if they started to send Nimmo more. Even Marte, I think I would like to see them send him more. I feel like they don't send him enough. I know like Marte last year, he only had Marte last year had like 50 something stolen bases. And obviously when we signed him, I said, yeah, I don't think he'll steal 50. Maybe he could steal, 30, 35. And this year he hasn't really even stole that much, I think, for the most part. I mean, obviously only 17 stolen bases. I'll take that. That's great. I think he definitely can get to 20, 25 at the end of the season, maybe even 30 if he really hustles it. So I would like him to see, sending Marte, Nimmo a bit more. Even Lindor too. Lindor's capable of it. And now you have guys like some other guys like Beatty. I know Mcneil. You have some guys out there who are capable. Alex says, what do you think the Mets are going to do with James Mccann this offseason? Yeah, with Mccann, it's really stressful. We've pretty much kind of spoke about what the deal is with Mccann. And sorry if I keep scratching my nose. I have horrible allergies. But with James Mccann, I think really what it's going to come down to, is, are the Mets willing to, I guess, kind of sacrifice the 40 million? Obviously 80 million, it's half, so that's 40, according to basic math. But I think really what it's going to come down to is are the Mets going to be willing to just give him the 40 million and just eat out the contract, have a Bobby Bonilla type style, admit Jason Bay 2.0, whatever. Because obviously, I mean, we can go over, what went wrong with him, why he wasn't going to be successful, how he wasn't even he was an alternate in Chicago, and just how much of a completely different catcher he is, how the defensive metrics never really said he was that great. We can go over that for hours. But with James Mccann right now, you look at the future, you have, Francisco Alvarez, you have Tomasino as an alternate. And it seems right now that with Mccann, the only good thing he has is throwing out runners. That's literally it. I think defensively, he's definitely increased compared to last season. His defensive metrics are much better this season than last season, whether it's the framing metrics, UZR, whatever. They're much better this season than last season, but he's still horrible to an extent defensively. Offensively, he's been atrocious. He's been abysmal. He's been horrible, yucky, whatever synonym you want to use to describe him. He's been horrible at the plate. I get it. I've always said that, catcher's offense doesn't matter a whole lot. But when it comes to Mccann, I can't have a guy batting, 175 with, an OPS of 500. That's just a no-no. If he could maybe bat like 215, 220, 230 with, a 700, 650 OPS, I'll take that. But this dude is an automatic out, automatic double play. Well, he hasn't gotten to many double plays this year. I will say he's been hitting the ball a little bit better. Like we've been seeing a lot of hard hit balls to center field that's caught. But, I mean, it's better than the double play. But still, Mccann, he's been very stressful this year. Very, unfortunate. Hasn't really done much offensively. Hasn't been a big contributor. And I don't blame the Mets for, wanting to start Nido more. Because at least Nido is better defensively. I mean, offensively, I still don't think he's great. I don't, he doesn't have much speed. Obviously, neither do no catchers really do, but even offensively, Nido's not great. But, I think he definitely can make a better case for Mccann. Like I said, you're waiting for Alvarez. You're probably going to call up Alvarez next season. I'd imagine that, coming March, spring training, the topic of discussion is going to be, should the Mets call up Francisco Alvarez? Or should he be on the opening day roster? In which I probably think he will be. And in that case, you'll have Alvarez and probably Nido will be your alternate. And with that case, probably just do something, try and expire that contract with Mccann or just let him go, kind of like a Jason Bay type of style thing, because he's just. I think it'd be very rare to see Mccann, I think, on this team next year. John, what's going on? He says the Mets are amazing. Say it loud and proud. Let's go Mets. Yes, sir. Davis says, I'm happy that Alonso hit over 100 RBIs. How many do you think he'll hit in total for the season? So right now he's at 102. So when it comes to Alonso, I know he had 120 his rookie year. Mets overall record is 124, set by Beltran and David Wright in 2 different years. I'm going to say he has 102. How many he has 102, I think, 103. How many RBIs does he have? I think he has 102. Alonso has 102 RBIs. So, yeah, I think it's definitely reasonable that Alonso can probably, I think he can get to 130. I do. If Alonso has 1 or 2 games where he has a 5 RBI game and continues to, go to the opposite field to drive in the runners on second and third, continuing to hit some home runs. He's been a little quiet when it comes to the long ball recently, but, for the most part, if he could just continue to really do what he's doing, he'll drive in more runs. So I think 130 is reasonable. He's been hitting the ball really hard lately. And so eventually the home runs will start going up. He's at 30. So I think he's definitely capable of, I know last year, I think he had like 37. So I think he's definitely capable of having a monster September and hitting, 8, 9, 10 homers in September. And then, definitely a little bit more time in August still to maybe get 1 or 2 in August in terms of home runs. But RBIs, yeah, I think he's definitely capable of 130. I think he can easily get 28 more, considering that there's like 30, 37, 36 games left. If he has, 1 or 2 5 RBI games, some 4 RBI games, even a game if he gets a sac fly, it still adds up. So I think something like that is probably reasonable for Alonso. Kobe says, what batting average do you think Jeff McNeil will finish with? Let's see. So Jeff McNeil right now is, I don't really, I'm not big on batting average, but I'll just tell you for the coolness of it. So he's batting 321. If you want to look at the past, in his 2019 season, where he was an all-star as well and really had a great season, he batted 318. Obviously 2020, he batted 311. So he's batting 321 right now, which is really would be his best. I know 2018, his rookie season, he batted 329, but the sample size was much short in only 225 at-bats in 63 games. So that's a short sample size, but I think that's still a reasonable sample size. So he's batting 321. I mean, he's been hitting the ball really well lately. I easily think he could somewhere finish, 320, 330, maybe 315. I think that's reasonable for McNeil. If he just continues to slap the ball to the other side, maybe hit the ball a little harder to the, center field straight away, continue to hit the ball down the line, get those little bloop, dunk hits. I think it's possible. I mean, maybe he'll hit like 1 or 2 more homers. I know he's not really, a home run hitter or something like that, but it's possible. So yeah, I think like, 315 to 330, I think is reasonable for McNeil. Camden, what's going on? Camden says the can of bat flip was a great way to finish out the Phillies. Hope they don't beam him in the first game next year. Yeah, I don't think they will. I think they'll be mad at the Mets for a million other things. Trey says Mets got to test Mcgill out as a pen guy if he could do well. See if he could do well. Yeah, I mean, right now, it's kind of hard to transfer, a guy who started off games and put him in a bullpen role. Like guys like Peterson and Williams are different. I think McGill's a different guy, considering that last year he came up, he started games, and then obviously this, year he started games. So we'll see how he could, finish himself to be a starter in the end. For the rest of the season, he'll probably work out of the pen, and I think that has its pros and cons, obviously. In terms of pros, I mean, it could really fix up their repertoire, kind of figure out what, situational pitching, little stuff like that. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it again. Brewers, they took the Woodruff and Burns approach. They put those guys in the bullpen, and once they were ready, they released them into the rotation to fix up their repertoire, fix whether it's velocity, what type of pitcher they want to be, command, their arsenal. And I think that's great. And I think McGill is definitely capable of, really increasing what he's capable of, because I think he's capable. I mean, he has a high ceiling. And I think, if he works out of the bullpen, continues to get his innings up this year, that'll be good. Because keep in mind, he didn't really pitch his innings pitch wasn't really high in A ball. I mean, I think his highest in really all A ball was like 130. And I mean, you're going to probably reach that, come in August, August or so. So, and considering that he's, been injured, obviously, for, pretty much all this season, with the exclusion of April and May, he's been out for July. He's been out, he's pretty much been out for most of June, all of July, and pretty much all of August, and probably won't return for another week or two. He's going to need those innings pitched to get back into his favor. Obviously, Joey Lucchesi did make a single-A outing. He had his first rehab start in single-A Port St. Lucie, an inning, a run, a walk, strikeout. So I guess decent outings there from him. He's also another guy that could be, kind of described in that role with McGill and Peterson, long reliever. And I think the fact is that the Mets have so many long relievers. Williams, Lucchesi, Peterson, McGill. I mean, those are 4 guys. That's practically a rotation right there. And then maybe if you want to throw in a 5th guy, a Nate Fisher or whoever. I I mean, the fact is you have 9 guys that can qualify for a starting pitching spot. That's, pretty much 2 rotations. If you want to use the mindset of a 4-man rotation, I mean, that's just mind-boggling to think about how much depth the Mets have. And I get it, right now Peterson was used the other day. I get it. Right now, you don't have Lucchesi and McGill, so that's kind of why they had to start Budo the other day. But yeah, so we'll see. It's going to be exciting. Cal says Jose Budo is a development. He's still on AA pitching. Hopefully, he will get better. He will get a better foundation of the year into next year. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't really expecting a huge outing from him, considering he doesn't have a whole lot of experience. Next year, he'll probably get sent down tomorrow or something. I think he already did, but hopefully next year he could be a big guy for the Mets. Peter says, I'm done with Trevor May. He reminds me way too much of Aaron Holland from 2006 team. It seems like every time I see him, he gives up big home run spots. Yeah. Trevor May has just not been himself. I feel bad. He seems like a really nice guy, but I care more about baseball than being a nice guy. Comes to Trevor May, we haven't really seen, his Minnesota Twins self that a lot of Mets fans were hoping to see. Obviously, taking a look-see, you look at his stats this season. I mean, a 7.04 ERA in 15 1/3 innings pitched. I mean, a 1.6 WHIP, 14 strikeouts. I mean, those numbers are just not good. Simply enough, you look at last year. Last year, obviously, he had 62 2/3 innings pitched, 25 runs, 24 walks, WHIP 1.2, and a FIP of 3.74. So, I mean, yeah, we haven't really seen his Minnesota Twins self. And when it comes to him, he just has an issue with the long ball, and just his fastball is not meaty, and it's just a little meatball practically, and it's a home run. And I get it, he's had some good outings, he's had some bad outings, but he's had a lot more bad, in my opinion, than good this season. And I get it, he was on the injury list, and the fact is that Mets fans really wanted him back, so urgently. I guess it's really kind of unfortunate that we got him back, and this is the, kind of production and expectations he's giving us. So, when it comes to him, hopefully we can try and figure something out, because it is getting really, really frustrating with Trevor May. But what's going on, Peter? Trey says, Anavino is a clean inning guy. I trust Otto when he comes in to start the inning. Yeah, Anavino, I get it. He's had maybe 1 or 2 unfortunate outings where he'll just throw a slider and, really kind of screw the Mets. I know there was that Miami game where he threw an unfortunate slider. But like I said, I'm not going to go crazy about Ottavino. I think he's a great guy. I'm not going to go crazy on him. But yeah, he's been good for the Mets for the most part. Cal says, what would you say the Mets' biggest strength and weaknesses as of now? So strength, weakness is the bullpen. Strength is probably, I guess, offense. I think this team is great with offensive production and clutch. Kobe says, nice to see some offensive production from the catcher position. Perez was 2-7, 2 runs, 3 RBIs, 2 walks this weekend. Yeah, I mean, that's probably practically the most we've seen from the catcher position in ages. Davis says, to go with Mad Max. TD, what's going on? Cubs fandom, what's happening? Connor says, Braves never had a stretch like us. June, their West Coast trip is so weak in September. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Braves and Phillies also have a pretty easy schedule. Alex says, do the Mets have the best outfield in baseball? Canna, Nimmo, Marte, and maybe if you want to include Mcneil in that bunch. I think they definitely have a case for it. I'm trying to think of other outfielders. I mean, maybe the Cardinals could make a case. Dodgers. Yeah, I think they're definitely up there. I don't know if they're the best. What an inspirational story for Nate Fisher. Guess it shows to always try hard and never give up. I'm hoping he could be that role that Colin Holderman had. Yeah, Davis, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, always, never give up, obviously. If you believe in something, you got to fight for it. If you want it that bad, got to fight for it. But, yeah, I agree with you. I think hopefully he can be that kind of definitive role that, kind of Colin Holderman had. Because that'll be big. I mean, obviously, you lost Colin Holderman. I mean, he really only had 1 unfortunate outing for the Mets. And you kind of took a step backwards, 1 step forward, a step backwards with the whole Holderman-Vogelbach trade. I mean, it's unfortunate that it was Holderman out of all the guys you had to give up. But, yeah, I mean, hopefully he can be that type of role, maybe that 2-3 inning type of guy. Whether that's a setup man or seventh inning guy. Because right now, like I said, I mean, I'll agree. Setup man, we don't really have a setup man that you'd have trust in. I mean, you have a closer you have trust in, but not a setup man you have trust in. So right now, it's pretty unfortunate. What this Mets bullpen situation looks like. I mean, this bullpen has been horrible, and surprisingly, it hasn't really killed you that much this season because the offense has been able to come clutch in extra innings and come clutch in the ninth inning and really save them. And even in the seventh, eighth inning of these games, we see games like yesterday. I mean, last year we would have not saw games like that. Maybe even 2019 we would have not saw games like that. So we just see, some guys come into outings, whether that's a Trevor May, whether that's a Dolly Rodriguez, and blows this game, gives up a run or two, and you're down. But then the Mets bats, whether that's Alonso, whether that's Canna, whether that's Lindor, whether that's Mcneil, comes in and saves them. So I mean, I get it. The bullpen's been horrible, and I think it probably, I don't know if it's worse than 2019, but the offense is definitely has been better at saving these games. Marco says, will Jeff McNeil win a gold glove this season? I'm trying to think who's another second baseman out there. There's really none in the NL, being honest. I mean, Jazz is out. I don't know if Albies will. Has Ozzy Albies even been healthy? I haven't heard anything about that dude in ages. Yeah, he hasn't played a game since June, so yeah, I doubt that. So probably, honestly, even regardless if those guys were healthy, I still think McNeil's a great defender. I mean, his defensive metrics are phenomenal. So yeah, I'd say he has a great shot at it, maybe even a slugger too. Santiago, what's going on? He says Buck Showalter is the GOAT. I really love that dude. I can't complain. And he says, hey, from Puerto Rico. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Christian, what's going on? Christian says it may just be time to DFA May at this point and just eating the remaining roughly 1.5 million. Yeah, it's kind of coming to that point because right now it's just he at this rate I feel he's doing more bad than good. Like I said, he is not the guy that we've seen with Minnesota. We've seen some light, but we need to, we haven't got the full kind of thing of what he was like back in Minnesota. His fastball hasn't been meaty. Slider hasn't been really, good at all. He's just throwing BP. He's just throwing, crappy pitches, and they're taking him yard. So right now, it's going to be a pretty, I don't want to say long, next couple months, the next couple weeks for May. But like I said, I don't believe you have him next year, so I guess that's kind of a good thing. Davis says, I really hope the Mets could figure out the bullpen. I only have faith in Edwin Diaz, and he could only give one inning a game. May hasn't been good much, and Lugo's been streaky. Yeah, like I said, there's only one guy I trust in this bullpen, and it's Edwin Diaz. I don't have trust in Dolly Rodriguez to be that sole lefty. I don't have trust in Seth Lugo, considering how inconsistent and streaky he's been. I don't have trust in Trevor May at all. I mean, Nate Fisher, yeah, he had a great outing, but that was only 3 innings and 1 appearance. I need to see more. I love Billy Epler. I think he had a great deadline offensively, but when it comes to the bullpen, he completely ignored it. And the fact that he has trust in Dolly Rodriguez as really your sole lefty is really concerning. And I get it. You're going to get guys like Peterson in the bullpen. You still have Williams. I guess I trust Williams, so that's 2. But I get it. You're going to get Lucchesi back in the bullpen. You're going to get Peterson in the bullpen, and you're going to get McGill in the bullpen. But I don't really want to play this waiting game. The time is ticking. And, I get it. I'd rather, lose these games in August than in September against division rivals with the bullpen. But really, every game counts. So I'm really hoping that they could try and figure out this little, bullpen kind of type of thing. Because it's kind of hard because it's like you can't really call anyone up from AAA. I mean, we saw the sample size for Budo. So Mets are going to have to make plenty of moves and decision makings for a better bullpen. LFGM, what's going on, Kobe? Urza, what's going on? He says, hi, Hayden. What's your predictions for the Dodgers series? Let's see who the Dodgers are playing. Dodgers. Brewers, you're playing a 3-game set against the Brewers at home. Well, who's pitching for them? Let's see. Let's see who's pitching for the Brewers and Dodgers. BA at 10-10. You got Lauer and Urias tonight, so I think I'll give you guys game 1. Game 2 is Burns and Gonsolin. Okay. Maybe I think I'd have to get Milwaukee then. Game 3 is Heaney and Ashby. So I think you guys will take 2 or 3 in my projection. Christian says Anavino has been very solid all year, and Rodriguez has a 0.96 ERA in August. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. Rodriguez has been good for the most part recently, but it comes to a point where I still fear with those walks. And like I said, the last thing you want to do as a reliever is give up walks. But when simply enough, when it comes to Rodriguez, I don't trust him as the sole lefty. Yeah, I mean, a lefty going at the deadline would have been nice. Just give May the fake injury. I mean, at this rate, Mets Dodgers. What's your prediction? Oh, that Mets Dodgers. Mets Dodgers. If it's a 3-game, I mean, it's not for a while. So I mean, yeah, it's not till 30th, 31st, and the first. So I don't know. I think you could take 2 or 3 maybe. So we're probably going to call it a stream here, though, everyone. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning in. Obviously, to today's stream, as always, we had a phenomenal stream. You guys did great in the chat, as always. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning into the streams, as always. Super, super exciting. We got some great stuff to talk about for the New York Mets going into the future. But in today's stream, we went over the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies series summary. No more games against the Phillies, so we kind of went over that. Then we went into the New York Mets and the New York Yankees Subway Series preview. So always exciting to talk about the Subway Series. That's kind of one of my favorite things. Then obviously went into all of your guys' comments, questions, concerns, everything about the Mets play, the Mets bullpen, that magic number that the Mets need. So, yeah, we had a really great chat as always. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning in to these streams as always. Yeah, otherwise, like I said, if you are rewatching this on replay, appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, drop them down below as always, whether you're a Mets fan, just a baseball fan. I know it says Mets talk, but it's really just baseball talk. Yeah, give this video a like, turn on those post notifications, the notification bell, so you never miss a stream or a video. Follow me on Twitter at Mets Hayden, all of that great stuff. And yeah, otherwise, I appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's stream. As always, we got really some great stuff to talk about for the Mets in the future. It's going to be a super, super, super exciting next couple weeks for this Mets ball club. Otherwise, I really do appreciate everyone for tuning in. Yeah, and I think we're going to end it here. Till next time, baseball fans. See ya.